Hey, I'm Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and I have an offer review for you. And this is where I share insights and tips from my latest real estate negotiations in the Seattle area. This video is going to cover two different offer negotiations, and these were, one of them was actually from a little while ago and one of them was from last week. I haven't been as consistent with these, but I think these two negotiations in specific have some value to bring to you, specifically with kind of where the current Seattle real estate market is. So the first negotiation is for a listing of mine that closed a few weeks ago. It's a house in the Bothell area. Now, this townhouse we put on the market at $425 list price. We did all the marketing that we normally do, and we just did not have very many buyers coming through. We had a pretty slow open house on both of the first days, that first weekend, so Saturday, Sunday, pretty slow. We had a couple showings a week, and then we had no showings at all. And a week later, we got a showing, and the buyer actually really liked the house and ended up making an offer just below the asking price. We ended up at $420, and I can share a little bit more about this one just because it's actually public record now at this point. But what I think is fascinating about it is just representing the seller on this side. There just wasn't as much buyer activity on this listing. And as you move out of Seattle, what I've seen, the actual city of Seattle, I've seen a lot less activity on my listings. So this one in specific, we got one good offer, and it was just below the asking price. It made total sense to accept it, and we had tested the market for over a couple weeks, so we knew that, okay, there's not a whole bunch of buyers just flooding into this house, and it made sense in that situation to accept the offer. But the application here for a seller is that the market has really changed in the Seattle area, and where we used to see, two or three offers probably in a house like this and the price shooting up, we're not seeing that right now. And I think that affects pricing strategy. Right now when I'm meeting with sellers, I'm not suggesting that there's different pricing strategies, but I'm not suggesting that we price on the lower side and hope that we get multiple offers and maybe even get more than they could have ever dreamed. We talk a lot more about, okay, let's try to really hit that market value on the high side, and let's start right there, and let's see if we can get a buyer at that price. And if we do, let's be really happy about that. So that's been the communication change with sellers, and I think that that's just a reflection of the reality of the market. You don't have that frenzy right now with the buyers. Now, I will say, as an update, I've noticed that there are more buyers out there and that the listing inventory is turning over a little quicker again. But at the time of this sale, we definitely were in the middle of that shift and experiencing it full on. Now, this next one I think is going to be more relevant to a buyer, and this is from last week. Some clients looking for a house in the Snohomish area, a bigger piece of property, something that they can grow into, and really just a change of scenery, right? They're hoping to get out of the suburbs and move even farther out into the country and enjoy just a different lifestyle. We found a property that they really liked. They actually saw it online, and I didn't even know they were looking. They're friends, and they reached out to me on a Sunday afternoon and said, hey, we saw this property, and well, we didn't tell you, but we're actually kind of thinking about buying a different place. And so we went out there. They did like it, and we, after actually a couple showings, decided to put together an offer. Now, we offered way below the asking price, and part of it is because we think that this property is overpriced, and it's been sitting on the market for roughly 60 days. They dropped the price and had been maybe talking about dropping it again, and we came in where we thought the house was worth and what it was really worth to them. This is the first time in a long time where I've had a client offer and we haven't been able to work out the deal with the seller. And it's interesting because the market has changed, but the seller in this case was still wanting to hold out for more, which makes sense. If I was a seller, I would be motivated to hold out for more. And the buyer in this instance was like, well, it's not worth that to me, and so I'm going to keep looking. That's the words, I'm going to keep looking. And so what we're seeing is sellers, and I think where they started just unrealistic on their price, and a buyer at the same time who is not in a hurry. Like, there's going to be other options. This isn't the only option out there. Which beforehand I was seeing clients that were really feeling a lot of pressure to just get something. And in this case, they're not feeling that pressure. They're like, well, this house might still be here in a month at the price that we wanted at, and maybe the seller would be willing to take it at that point. So as a buyer, I think that this just speaks to that, you do have options. You don't have to force yourself into a certain house. And if the seller's not willing to meet your price, well, then wait a little bit. And sellers, I think for you, the application is that, I think it's really important that you're realistic about the value of your house now more than ever. The past few years you could get away with, well, I think my house, I think somebody might be willing to pay more for this house. But I think the real message here is that if you're not realistic about your price, your house isn't going to sell because the buyers are savvy and they're also not in a hurry to pay the price that you want. So this is two market updates, this is two negotiation reviews kind of sandwiched together. I think one more applicable to sellers, one more applicable to buyers, but I think there's some really good content for you here. So thanks for watching and sticking out through this video, and I look forward to giving you some more of these negotiation reviews here soon. Bye for now.